San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk was snubbed from the Pro Bowl regardless of being the sixth ranked wide receiver in the NFL, according to the statistics. And even so, guys like Puka Nakua got in over him. And we're going to talk about why that probably is not the best case scenario or should have happened. But we also got Brandon Aiyuk reacting to him getting snubbed. And listen, obviously, I think Brandon Ayuk is built the right way. He's a quiet individual. He puts his head down and he goes about his business. So you're not going to hear him speak up all that often. So the fact that he kind of is, speaking out about this, I think this was something that he really wanted. I think it's just, again, we've heard other players talk about it. I think Kyle Juszczyk went on to the NFL Network after getting a record-setting eighth Pro Bowl as a fullback. He talked about the most special one is the first one because it's like, I've arrived, I'm here, you finally break through the glass, and we're still waiting for Brandon Ayuk to get that recognition throughout the league. And so, of course, Brandon Aiyuk is probably not going to be very happy about not getting voted into the Pro Bowl. And this is his response. He says, trying to get like y'all, no cap, 100, and throws up the praying hands emoji. I think this is something that he really wanted. I do. I think Brandon Aiyuk wanted to kind of elevate himself, kind of get that Pro Bowl nod, especially heading into a contract year, be able to throw that on the table in the negotiations, be like, I'm a Pro Bowl guy. Um, so I think that's really what he wanted. I think that's what he was looking for. But again, when you start to look at the numbers, it's Brandon Ayuk has done some things this year that are pretty special, all things considered. When you look at what he's been able to do statistically, he is sixth in the NFL in reception yards, and he is right behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nakua. As you can see by this list, you can see where Brandon Ayuk is ranked. And over this season, through 15 games, Brandon Ayuk had 1,317 reception yards and 7 reception touchdowns. That's 2 more touchdowns than Puka Nakua. And Puka Nakua has one more game under his belt than Brandon Aiyuk. And I think one of the important things to contextualize is if you remember in that week 2 game against the Rams, he got hurt early in that game. And as a result, he really didn't produce all that much because he was just kind of gutting it out and trying to get through that game. So early on, week 2, he gets hurt, doesn't produce all that much because he was just hurt that whole game. He misses the following Thursday night football game. So right off the bat, after coming out and having 2 touchdowns against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he got hurt and he missed a game right after that. Whereas Puka Nakua, of course, has played a majority of the snaps. And when you look at the target share and you look at how many receptions that Puka has, he has 101 receptions on 154 targets, whereas Brandon Aiyuk has 72 receptions on 101 targets. And he honestly isn't that far behind Puka Nakua. And shout out to KP of Niners Nation, who put out this tweet, and he says, in my opinion, the best way to measure a wide receiver statistically is what he does with his targets. 83% of Brandon Ayuk's targets have gone for first downs. That's first for any player with at least 50 catches. Ayuk also leads all wide receivers in EPA per target. Ayuk's being penalized for his lack of volume. That's exactly what we're talking about. He missed some time, got injured early on, and he didn't get a ton of targets. But man, look at what he has done with them. And if we want to talk about receiving averages, look who's at the very top of this category at 18.3 yards per catch. That's Brandon Aiyuk leading the league in reception yards per catch. That's pretty awesome for Brandon Aiyuk. Also, if you want to look at yards per game, he finds himself around the 8 category. So Ayuk has produced and produced at a high level. Again, he is feeling like he's getting penalized for lack of volume. And again, when you look at Puka Nakua, he was a volume machine, especially when Cooper Cup was out. So, um, I listen, we understand from a fan perspective that Pro Bowls are cool and all. I know that it's not a big thing for us to really worry about. Obviously, we love seeing these guys get number one rated in the fan vote, all those different types of things. But man, these guys, this helps builds the legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go to some players' Wikipedia right now, when they talk about accomplishments, you'll see how many Pro Bowls they played in. Like it's just a legacy thing and a recognition thing that helps them in contract talks. It helps them get more brandy. It just helps the brand. It's huge. It's huge for these guys. So I feel for Brandon Aiyuk. I think he was absolutely deserving of getting the Pro Bowl nod. Obviously Puka Nakua has got a lot of hype headed his direction. Again, with the volume and what he did as a rookie, but man, you extrapolate what Brandon Aiyuk has done over 16 full games. Again, I have him knocked for like a game and a half where he didn't play. So again, he could have produced even more if he was able to go in those games. So Brandon Aiyuk, yeah, he's still got one game left under his belt. We'll see if he plays much in this game against the Rams, but I do think he was absolutely deserving of getting a Pro Bowl nod. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in all pro voting. I imagine they're going to give it to the top guys like Tyreek Hill, CD Lamb, AJ Brown. But I mean, there's like that fourth spot. I think Brandon Aiyuk is worthy of being a second team all pro player. So we'll see what ultimately comes when the year is over and we get the all pro voting and what that looks like. But I understand where Brandon Aiyuk's feeling. He wants to be in this category with these guys. He wants to be in that upper echelon when his name is mentioned, and he's deserving of it. He's worked his tail off. We've seen what he's been able to do in the off seasons. His just the way he plays and prepares in training camp. There's no surprise for me, at least, that he finds himself sixth in the NFL in receiving yards on the season after missing a game and a half, essentially. So that's pretty special for Brandon Aiyuk. Now, the thing is, BA, sky's the limit. This guy is a 1700 caliber wide receiver. When you look at what Tyreek Hill did, Tyreek Hill had 1,700 receiving yards on the season on 112 receptions. Could you imagine? Could you imagine what that would look like for Brandon Aiyuk if he had 112 receptions on 158 targets? That's crazy. Tyreek Hill had 58 targets more than Brandon Aiyuk. That's that accounts for 50% of BA's total targets on the year. So that's why I like KP's point, kind of alluding to he got dinged for volume. So that's the unfortunate part right now with BA is the volume is ultimately what got him, not the talent. But let me know what you guys think about BA's response. Let me know, did BA get snubbed? I want to see in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.